Howdy, I'm Christopher Beavers, and thanks for joining Between the Bears and the Bulls. And I'm incredibly excited today to welcome my friend Jacques Marquis, the CEO of the Cliburn. And today we're going to be talking about the history of Van Cliburn and the Cliburn International Piano Competition, Jacques' leadership in elevating excellence, and of course, hockey. Thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the show. Mr. Marquis, welcome to Between the Bears and the Bulls. We
Mr.
are
Beavers.
incredibly
Thank you.
excited to have you here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've been excited about this.
Good.
And thank you for agreeing to be a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, Jacques Marquis, the CEO of the Cliburn, the premier international piano competition in the world, right?
I would say yes.
Yes. Okay. The Wimbledon
For now.
of piano competition.
Yeah, I like to say that.
Yes,
I love
okay.
Wimbledon also.
Very good.
But in the Wimbledon thing or the
Yes.
tennis thing, you have 4 Grand Slam,
Mm-hmm.
but you have tons of
Right.
tennis competition
Right.
everywhere. The music competition world or piano world is the same, but you have 2 big ones now.
Okay.
Us and the Chopin in Warsaw.
Okay.
That can really change the course of action for a young pianist.
It's amazing.
Good.
But it's more than just a competition too, right? Because the Cliburn, it launches careers.
Yeah.
You have concert series.
Yep.
You go into classrooms.
Yep.
How did you get here, and how in the world did the Cliburn become this international phenomenon with you as its CEO in the last 15 years?
Okay, let's go back in time.
Okay, please.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
1958.
All right.
Then
We're going to go back a
Cli-
few years.
1958.
Yes.
You were not born, not even close to be. 1958, Van Cliburn is a young American pianist of 23 years old. And the Tchaikovsky competition is his first edition in 1958.
Okay.
Tchaikovsky competition is the Russian decided to do at that time a music competition. That was the Cold War.
During that time. Yeah.
That's it. To show the supremacy of the Russian musicians in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There was this course for getting to the moon at that time. Yuri
Right.
Gagarin, there was the plane, the fastest plane. There was all this between the States and the Russians.
Oh, yeah.
And they started. The point is, in piano, they were the kings of piano.
Right.
They were. Then, therefore, they create this competition in 1958 and they invite the world to participate.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, all the jury were Russian, and it was planned that a Russian was winning. This young American of 23 years old was studying in Juilliard. His name was Van Cliburn, and his teacher was a Russian lady.
Okay.
Then he knew the repertoire, and he decided to participate.
Had he done any competitions or anything before
Just
this point?
those
Just a
one-
few.
this
So
one
he
in-
wasn't well known.
He was
in the
known
United
in the
States.
United States, but once again, in
right.
1958,
Right,
in
okay.
piano, Then suddenly he does that, and he goes there, and through the first round, people said, "Ooh," and Van was 6'5", extremely charming,
Yes.
and very, very good, and knew the rep once again, and suddenly to the first round, they say, "Whoa, this young kid is good," and the Russian people liked him. And they were calling him when he was coming to the concert. They was like, "Woo, Van is here!" And suddenly, to the competition, he goes like this to the final round, and the jury member, the president of the jury, he said, "He's the winner." Everybody voted for him, but he's American. That was not the plan, Then he had to go to Khrushchev, the prime minister, and ask Khrushchev, "Do we give him the first prize?"
Mm-hmm.
And Khrushchev, he said, and this is a quote, a real quote, "Is he the best?" And they said, "Yes, he's the best. Give him the first prize." And for the history of this, Khrushchev was following Stalin.
Mm-hmm.
Stalin, who was, the Gulag and all that. And Khrushchev wanted to reestablish the bridges also with the
And when you
US.
say Stalin, for our American audience here, you mean Stalin.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank you for the translation. And thank you. And Khrushchev saw this as an opportunity of bridging out through music. And they gave the first prize. He became instantly a huge star. First page of the Time magazine,
Oh, wow.
Man of the Year, and after that, naturally met all the president and all that. Like huge star. And his goal was to bridge music through all nations. And in 1962, people started the Cliburn competition here in Fort Worth.
Wow.
That was Cliburn 101.
So, and I kind of remember there were parades in New York City for him when he came back.
Yeah.
And then wasn't he integral too in the relationship during that time of the Cold War? I mean, because he was so beloved by the Russians at that particular point, he kind of helped, right?
He helped because he was a fantastic ambassador for music.
Right.
He never addressed anything about politics. He said music brings people together.
Yeah.
And for all his life, that was his mantra. And also, there was two things that Van was important for Van that the Cliburn has been doing since 1962, which is bring classical music to everybody, not only the people who knows. No, to be accessible to all. That was important. And helping young artists at the beginning of the career by providing concerts. And we still do the same stuff. Then 65 years roughly after that, we're still doing the same kind of through concert series, through competitions, through Cliburn Agency, through a lot of activities. It's always focused on two: bring the classical music to a large audience and to support young artists.
Well, it's amazing to me because when you think of the Cliburn now, it's almost known, I mean, internationally, when you think about the views that it had, for example, in the last competition, right? How many views on YouTube did the last Cliburn competition generate?
We're at 60-something million.
60-something million?
Yeah.
It amazes me that people here in Fort Worth, there are some people here in Fort Worth that they don't necessarily know the Cliburn name, but there's probably more people internationally that know the name.
Well, we're in, and when you said 60, we had a fantastic winner in 22.
Yes.
And people who doesn't know about our world of piano music, I said, okay, that's simple. We recruited Michael Jordan when he was 17.
There we go.
Then now he's all over the place. Then because of Yun Chan Lim, this is his name, and we got, during the competition, we were at 10 million views. And the week after, we're at 20 million views. And another week after, we're at 35 million views.
Wow.
And it's been growing and growing and growing of the views of the webcast, because we do a webcast of the entire competition, the 3 weeks of the competition. We do a movie, and the movie will be streamed on a streaming platform in May. We're launching the 2022 movies in May.
Oh, awesome.
It's the story of Yun Chan and the winners and all this happening. And this is fun. The movie is fun also because it talks about the human aspect of them. They're fantastic performers, but they're also human beings, and they have like struggles. And the second prize, she was pregnant when she was at the competition. And she's Russian. Then you know what happened with Russia and Ukraine. Then that was all in the news and all that. And we covered that in the documentary as well. That it's going to be fun. It's on the American Airlines now.
You can get it on American Airlines. Didn't I make an appearance in that
I'm
documentary?
way too much in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm way too much in it.
And given that, so we were a host family, as you well know, which this is what I think is so cool about the Cliburn. So competition every 4 years. But what's really neat is you invite 30 people from all over the world to compete here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
But each of those individuals actually get to stay with a family that lives here in Fort Worth for that month. And this competition isn't just like a day, right?
No, it's 18 days.
It's 18 days. How much music during that period of time in those 18 days?
When you get to the end, you played something like 4 hours and a half of music.
4.5 hours of music.
Yeah. And it's only 5 minutes is you can have a score. The rest of it is by heart.
You have to have all this memorized. So
you
come to the competition with 4.5 hours worth of material ready to go.
Ready to go in front of 9 jury members and in front of audiences, in front of the world. You don't have to be ready to go. You have to know these pieces fantastically because the level of stress is super, super high. That's what we do. Competitions. We increase the stress.
Exactly. There's no doubt. Because as somebody who was a host family for a competitor who made it to the finals a couple years ago, I was so stressed
You think?
out.
I have pictures of you.
I know. I was so stressed out for Vlad because you become very close to these people. They're living with you for a month, and you get to know them, and you understand that winning the Cliburn. And I want you to talk about this. What does that do for somebody's career?
You have a lot of people with finance here. Then when you Cliburn, the first prize is $100,000.
Okay.
Second is 50. After that, 25, and we go on, and everybody gets a little bit of money, like a golf tournament. Everybody gets a piece of it.
Yes.
But $100,000 is nothing if you don't have concerts.
Right. Yeah.
And that was Van's idea.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to play. Because you have to play to get better, and you have to play in front of people. Mm-hmm. Then what we do, we organize something like 250 to 300 concerts for the winners, the 3 first prizes. That represent something like $2 million of revenue for the next 3 years, and we manage them as an agent.
So they're doing 300 concerts in 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're on average. Every 3 days of the year, they've got another concert that they're doing.
Yeah. We really launch them in concert. Go practice.
Right.
And take the plane or take the bus or whatever.
And these concerts are all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And we also, but doing concerts is not the only thing. Okay. Think again of these young pianists of 22, 23 years old coming. They've been practicing 6 to 10 hours per day for the last 10 years. When they got to 15, 16, 17 years old, they put that 6, 7, 8. Before that, it's like 2 to 4 hours per day. We have a junior competition also, and when you ask them, and they are 13 to 17 years old, and we ask them at 14 years old, how many hours you practice per day? 3 hours. And I'm saying, you go to school. When do you practice?
Right, exactly.
And they go, from 6 to 7 in the morning. After that, I go to school. At lunch, I do another hour. I come back. I do another hour. I do my homework. And actually, you're super bright. Then they done. And he said, the weekends, yay! I can practice 8 hours per day.
Oh my gosh.
Then these are the one that we recruit after that, and they coming to, and they are extremely, extremely ready for the competition. And what I was saying about.
So launching careers, you're going 300 concerts.
That's it, the 300 concerts. And they have to also practicing. Therefore, they know social media, but not really. Mm-hmm. They know a contract. No, they don't.
Right.
They know finance. No, they don't.
Right. Yeah.
Then suddenly, the guy who has been practicing in the cubicle for the last 5 years makes a very decent revenue for the... doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And also, then he has contracts, he has trips, then we help them. He has a website, he has recordings, he has proposal for sponsorship. Then we help to do all of those.
It's amazing. Because what's interesting is I think a lot of people who are familiar with the Cliburn, they think of the main competition, right, which happens every 4 years. Now, being as a member of the board, which I've had the opportunity to be a part of, you start to realize how much the Cliburn does, right? I mean, talk a little bit about, you talked and discussed the agency. So you started this agency here. This is a recent kind of development, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the agency. Talk about going into schools where you're letting kids know here in Fort Worth what classical music is like, right? It does so much more than just the 4-year competition.
We're trying to fill all the layers. School is important. You have to be exposed.
Right.
We're not teaching them piano, but we bring a grand piano to all the schools. 300 schools we go.
300 schools?
Yeah.
So, is that every year?
Every year.
So the Cliburn is in the classroom almost every single day of the...
Oh, it's crazy. Because the school time is like, we cannot go in September. They just got there.
Right.
They finish in December. And after they go back in end of January, they have exams and spring break and all that. Then there's 2 or 3 concerts per day during the day that are open.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And we have 2 pianos now doing 5,000 miles of traveling across
Incredible.
the FW to do it in 300 schools, 300 concerts in the schools.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and the important thing for those also, we help a bunch of young pianists because we pay them to play, you
Right.
know, and we have a host. But we, like I was saying, the layers, then we go for the schools. They have to be exposed to it. After that, we go in bars. We have a collaborations. We do that in bars. We have Tanner Hills in the stockyards, and it's fun to have a concert and you know, a glass of something.
Of course.
Yeah, and we do also the Kimball. We do competitions, and we do Cliburn Festival. Sometimes we do on a one theme, one big weekend. We do. Then I like to change venue. I like to change also perspective, and we have to. Classical music have a tendency of being, oh, come to us, come to see us. Now we have to reach out to the people at the audience. We have to build this audience. Then I'm thinking, if someone cross Sundance Square and see a pianist playing, then they will say, it's fun. You know, I may go to the library for the free concert. After that, I may go slow. Nobody will come in one day and say, I'm going to Bass Hall and see a concert tonight
Right.
when they've never been exposed to it. It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how on the finals in the competition, you're actually doing a simulcast outside in Sundance
Square. It's so fun.
So everybody can see it
It's
that
so
are walking
fun.
around.
It's
And
crazy because the first year we did that, 17, we did that. I said, first, the hall was full. We sold out
Right.
the concert. Therefore, we should give the access to
Right.
ban again,
Yes.
to a lot of people. Second, we should thank Fort Worth and all the volunteers, because we have an army of volunteers, 600 volunteers working with us for the competition. And it's a thank you. Then we put a big screen at some simulcast at Sundance Square for the simulcast of the finals. And Yekwon Sunwoo, that you know well,
Yes.
the winner of 2017, was playing Rack 3. And people, I was inside, but people from the Cliburn went outside and they filmed. And the plaza was filled with people, with families and all that. It was completely silent.
That's
They were
amazing.
listening to the and when Rack 3 finished, which is crazy, as you know,
It went nuts.
It went nuts.
Went
Then
nuts.
and that's fun. Then we're still doing the 22. We did that, and we'll do it this year again.
That'll be a blast.
That's a fun thing.
And yes, that was before we were host families. We were social hosts.
Yeah.
And we were the social host for Yekwon Sunwoo, who won the first
Yeah.
prize, which
Yeah.
is amazing. And it's incredible to me because it truly is something more than just you're affecting people in such a positive way at an early age. And the fact that you're doing 300 concerts in the classroom to get people, you know, as kind of Van's vision, right?
Mhm.
It was music brings people together, right? And if you can start that early on in people's mindset at an early age, I think that has a transformational aspect of what people are doing. So
You have to plant the seed.
Right.
You know, you're good in school when you're young and you're a good sport. You're good in sport and you have friends, and you're good in art, you have friends, you're good in music, you have friends. And this is what we bring. The music place is important, you
Right.
know, because it can increase the self-esteem and can, like I said, having something special for you.
Mhm.
And we're there for that. We dare to open the doors.
it's amazing. So I don't know if I've ever told you the story. So Van, he was doing, this is when he was doing concerts. So I can't remember what age I was, but I was 10, 11, something like that. And as you know, I was a classical pianist, grew up, and that was my affinity. And of course, Van for me was always, you know,
Naturally.
he was-
Icon. Yeah.
icon, right? And so I was from Corpus Christi. We drove from Corpus Christi just to San Antonio, right? So 2.5, 3 hours away because he was putting on a concert there in a university. So we go to this concert. He's unbelievable. He has, I've never seen anything like this, but the crowd was so crazy after he finished. He played 6 encores because people continued to clap and wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
He came back to the stage, played 6 more pieces. And I've never seen a group of people so excited and happy and seeing a performer who you could just tell. I mean, he loved what it is that he was doing, giving.
That's it.
And so I stayed after the concert because I was with my piano teacher at the time. And my piano teacher said, "Well, we're going to stay and we're going to see if we can get an autograph, you know, from Van." We stay for 30 minutes afterwards, and Van comes out. Most people are all gone. Van comes out, and he actually signs my program.
Yeah.
And that you could tell, and he was so. There was a part of it where he was so connected to people, and he really cared. He wasn't just doing it because he was an entertainer. He really cared about people, and I think he appreciated the fact that people of all ages were so in tune with that, because it wasn't just sign the autograph and walk away.
No.
It's, you enjoyed it. What did you enjoy most about it? I mean,
It
just
was
talking.
It was fantastic.
And it blew me away that level of success, that you could have somebody who was just so grounded.
Yeah.
And that's what was
and that was
pretty
his
cool.
thing, sharing music with everybody. And you felt that you were alone with him when he was there.
Yes.
Even though there was a big crowd, he was with you.
With you,
which
exactly.
was great. Yeah.
So we talked so much about the Cliburn, but what about you, Jacques? So how did you
I
get
work for the Cliburn.
Oh, okay.
You didn't get that
No,
yet?
yeah, I guess not.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
You've been CEO for how long of the Cliburn?
12 years now.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get to the Cliburn? So
I-
what was your path there?
The path, I used to run the Montreal competition before
Okay.
that.
Wait, you're not American? I'm surprised by this. I noticed
I'm
maybe
trying
an accident.
I
Maybe a little
I
bit.
cannot get there. I'm too old for that.
So you're from Montreal.
I'm from Montreal.
Okay.
French
gotcha.
Canadian.
French Canadian. All right.
The
yes.
best part of Canada. But the best hockey team.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go there. We'll go there for
eventually.
hockey. Oh, yes,
Eventually. Then I used to run the Montreal competition. Montreal for 11 years. I did Montreal competition, and Montreal was doing 1 year voice, another year violin, and another year piano.
Mm-hmm.
And when you the world of competition, music competition, we have an umbrella organization in Geneva called the World Federation of International Music Competitions, and I was sitting on the board for many years. And actually, therefore, in your field, you know all the business and management and that.
Right.
In our field, we know all the competitions and all happening. And the Cliburn was the Cliburn. Then I just build up on very, very solid foundation. It's easier to build another level on your house if you have great foundations.
Right.
And the Cliburn was so great for that, because history, winners, Van Icon, the realization of Fort Worth, the volunteers in Fort Worth have created this fantastic competition. Then for me was to build this. Then I was in Montreal and I did 11 competition, and I felt that I did what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Cliburn was changing leadership and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out and I said, because I knew them from the World Fed, and I reached out to the chairman of the board, who was Carl Thompson then. And I said, hey, I can offer you my service as a consultant because you have a Cliburn coming up. Mm-hmm. And they hired me as a consultant. And the fun part was, for me, was like, I didn't know Texas. You know Texas. You know the Cowboys. right. You know. I knew the Stars.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't. We know mostly when you come from Montreal. You know the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know much about Texas. But in the field of classical music, there's always like, you reach out for money, you reach out to fundraise and all that. And sometimes people are coming with money and a lot of advice. Mm-hmm. Then I wanted to just measure the level of advice I can get from all the people who give money to Cliburn. Then as a consultant, it was good because I could come here and evaluate. At the same time, I said to Carla, if you don't like me also, you can kick me out whenever you want. That's the best deal. Then we were like,
yes,
analyzing ourselves.
Is this a good fit?
Is that a good fit?
Sure? Right.
And after a few months, they offered me the CEO job, and I accepted. And I've been very, very lucky to work here.
Well, I know you, and I know that you are very humble from a standpoint of what you've actually accomplished during your 12 years here, because I knew the Cliburn before you got here. And so I had moved, I guess, to Fort Worth 15 years ago, so a couple years prior to that, and was involved. And it's amazing to see, and honestly why I thought this would be great to have you on the podcast, because you truly are somebody who are excellent in everything that you do. Not to build you up too much here, Jacques, and I know you're not used to hearing me say something like this, but you really are. And when you look at what the Cliburn has been able to achieve, over the course of the last 12 years, you've implemented, I mean, you talked about a junior piano competition. That was something that was kind of your brainchild,
Well, yeah,
right? I mean, and so they always had the large competition, but the junior for those that are under 18?
Yeah, 13, 17.
Right,
yeah.
13 to 17. That's something that you had this vision of creating. The Cliburn agency, which you can talk a little bit about that. I mean, launching careers, that's something that was also kind of your brainchild. So you've taken something that was the premier international piano competition before you've gotten here, and now you've taken it to a whole different level, right? What keeps you kind of pushing there? If you're already at the top, right? And this is the issue that I think a lot of people look at it and say, okay, once you've reached the pinnacle, because I think everybody would agree that Cliburn is at the top of the piano competitions in the entire world. What makes you want to continue to improve and get better and drive with all these different ideas rather than just enjoy yourself? You're at the top, I mean, have some fun.
No. And from you, come on.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I want to
push
know
the boundaries all the time.
of
But
course.
I got bored easy. But I get bored easy. But the thing is, if you're at the top, this is a mindset. And you're in business, you know so much about how the good ones, the good companies are getting better and better and better in what they do. And for me, there's two things. That the first thing is we're still doing stuff that are linked to the 1962 foundation of the Cliburn, which is, once again, accessibility and young artists. And we're not trying to do the Cliburn Bistro,
right,
or stuff like this. That sometimes I have ideas, but but we're still in the core business of what we do, and we do it well. And how can we expand? The other thing that's always on my mind is how can I financially?
There we go. Tying
it
in.
Go.
Yes, exactly.
Financially sustain the growth, and we're lucky in Fort Worth to have wealth. And people what I learned about Texas, and coming back to my point before, Texas people are entrepreneurs. They love ideas. They love new stuff. And I like new stuff too. Then I went there, I said, I have an idea for a junior competition, and that will do this. And the junior is now in Dallas. And when I said that, the people at the beginning, they were like, what? What? Why? I said, because the Cliburn is international, national, regional, and local. And we can expand our reach in all the FW. And by the way, instead of coming to you to ask you money every year, I will ask people in Dallas to support the junior. And eventually, and what happened with this is now we have donors who bridge out for the Cliburn Junior, and they come for the big Cliburn competition. We have people coming from Dallas to the big competition, and we have people from Fort Worth to see the Cliburn Junior in Dallas. The Cliburn can do stuff like this because we are international. We are not an orchestra is linked with the city. You cannot bring the Fort Worth Symphony to Dallas. People will complain because they have a Dallas Symphony, and vice versa.
Yes.
Then an opera is linked with the city. The Cliburn has this. And I thought that expanding, but that's expanding also the reach, the audience, the fundraising, and more. You diversify your sources of revenue, not having only one stock, as you know. Then more you do that, it's better. Then Cliburn Agency generates money. Now we have, with the webcast and the documentary, we have online. We get money from Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. YouTube is sending money. We got online donations. We got sponsorship. We got corporate sponsorship. We got donation. We increased the endowment. We have ticket sales. We have gift shop. We have fantastic branding of the gift shop. Then all of this.
Did you notice, by the way,
my
pocket square, my socks,
shoes,
your pen,
I have my pen,
of course,
And all of this is when is the rainy days. We have an endowment for the rainy days. Then when the pandemic hit, the rainy days were there with the endowment, and that was great. We could still support artists, which is important. And when we don't have those rainy days, it's important that we diversify. Then if someone give less one year, we have other source of revenue. And I like this. Cliburn Agency is what also in this, helping young artists, but also having another source of revenue.
Well, you mentioned something there that I want you to touch a little bit more on, because when you think about the pandemic, and you think about arts organizations where you're generating revenue during that time, a lot of times from concerts, which weren't happening
Yeah.
during COVID, and you think about navigating through that period of time and still managing to be on the outside of it and still getting through and having that same level of kind of excellence, even after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
How did you navigate that as CEO when everybody said no more concerts, you can't do anything? You were basically, for how long? 2 years? You couldn't do anything?
2 years, not in Texas. Texas was faster than
Right,
that.
right.
But once again, good weather in Texas. You know,
outside venues,
outside venue, safely distanced from each other.
Right.
We brought the artists. We didn't have a program book. Then we asked the artists to introduce the pieces themselves, and suddenly you have a fantastic concert, fantastic artists. You help them during the pandemic because you give them a fee.
Right.
They are on the stage. They communicate with the crowd. The audience is happy. And it's why we started this bar series, and now we're doing it still because we realized, oh, that works well.
It worked.
Yeah.
So things you did during the pandemic, you ended up continuing through now because it was a different source of, and probably different types of people that go to those venues.
Exactly.
Too,
Exactly.
And you go in the schools, you get those individuals. You have people who want to go to Bass Hall. You have people who want to go.
We have the pure core competition people,
right?
And the competition is the 100 meters at the Olympics.
Right.
You have the prelims; they all run fast, and you take only the from 48, you cut to 24.
Yeah.
And after that, you make them run again, and then it's the same principle. So they play piano.
Right.
But to judge all this, we have 9 jury members, all concert pianists from all over the world, who say, and everybody asks me, how do you ask them to choose? And I say, there's no criteria. It's not technique or how many false notes that you do. It's only, do you want to hear this person on the next round? Yes or no?
I love that.
And this is the best thing because you love whatever. For you, I know it's Taylor Swift that you love very, very much.
That is not that is not true. I want to say on record that is not.
Then you love Taylor Swift very, very much.
Absolutely.
Then you go to Taylor Swift. You pay tons of money to go to see Taylor Swift, and you say, when she'll be back, I'll be there again because that's it. That's what you want. You want to be entertained. You want to be also being moved by someone, and some artists can do that, some others less. Then this is what we're trying to get there. The people that will be interesting in the long run.
I'm and no, she has great stuff, don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. Leadership style, because you talked about that, and I would actually say the Cliburn thrived during that period of time when most arts organizations, many of them folded, right? COVID really took out a lot of the nonprofits because there weren't concerts happening. There weren't opportunities there. And, a lot of that goes back to leadership. And I want to talk to you a little bit about your leadership style because that's unusual to see those kind of organizations thrive in a period like that where you even say, we're still implementing and utilizing some of the things that we created during COVID.
A lot of people did that, though. Not only us, but a lot of people did that.
But you did it well. You did it well. And it has to do with leadership style. And you've kind of done some other things throughout the course of the last couple of years that, you were kind of a pioneer. Talk a little bit about the last competition when the whole world was looking at the Cliburn, when we thought about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? Because during that time and that competition, many Russians and Belarusians were banned from competitions and not being able to compete. How
then to go back in time a little bit again.
Yes.
Okay. February 24, 2022 was the Ukraine, the war, the Russian attacking Ukraine, and we had screening auditions on March 9. Then 20 days after that. And suddenly the Metropolitan Opera did and ban Gergiev, a famous Russian conductor, and Anna Netrebko, a famous soprano from the presentation. And we were in the midst of this because we had 12 Russians and 3 Belarusians coming to play in the screening auditions. We were welcoming like 75 of them, 75 candidates. And then we had to bring that to the board. And good thing, the board, we had a very frank and open discussion on what could happen on all this. And my point was, and once again, coming back to Van, and he was the one from the start who can bridge nation through music. And you could see Van's, who was a public person for all his life, and never had anything talking about politics. He was way, way, way above that and talking about music and people. And this is what the board decided to do, and to say these young musicians have nothing to do. If they were doing naturally, we will not accept that. But they had nothing to do with this situation. Most of them were out of Russia, and they were in Juilliard or Curtis or in Germany and all that. And we give them a platform. We give them a voice, and they're the voice. For me, they're the voice of the future. We cannot mute people, but we can bring the level to the music level, higher. I remember the New York Times called me and said, "How are you navigating through this political thing?" I said, "No, I'm way above it. I don't want this." There's lobbyists all over the world about political lobbyists. That's not my job. My job is music. That's it. That's all. I'm not addressing this. And at the end of the day, the second prize was Russian. The third prize was an Ukrainian boy. And they hug on the stage at the end. Awesome. And I think
it's an amazing
this is what and the documentary talk about this. And it's so important.
I mean, it was at the time, though, I mean, there was additional security that was required. I mean, I remember in these board meetings us kind of talking about the preparations for this competition because of, we didn't know exactly what it could look like. And there were, protests on the street and I mean, all this kind of stuff. And
it was so fun. We were doing the screening last week here and we said, how come we have so much time? And suddenly we realized that 3 years ago, it's because we had all to do this. I was on the phone all the time with people calling me, and I was answering not the nice people. People who cannot yell at me, I was answering. Even though we're not in agreement, I was answering. People yelling at me, I was not necessarily answering. But I communicate with a lot of people by email, and once again, people were saying you should not do that because of this and this and this and this and this. I was like, and this is the position of the Cliburn, and I was working on this all the time. Then suddenly, this screening edition was like, cool.
What do we need to?
We're cruising here.
I mean, but that's kudos to you and your team, and I know you have an incredible team over there at the Cliburn because you've had to navigate probably 2 of the most difficult situations over the course of the last 5 years, especially for
those 2,
in an organization like this with COVID and obviously that. How do you balance it all, man? Because I know that during competition time, I mean, there's
no time.
There's no time, right? There's no balance, right?
No, there's no balance.
You have a family. I mean, the competition is kind of nonstop, so it really is a 24/7, lifestyle, if you will. But how do you balance all of it, right? I mean, when I think about the leadership side of things, because a lot of people depend upon you, and you have a lot of careers kind of within your grasp of, how do you balance it all?
I love what I do.
Yeah,
that helps a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
And during the competition, I have a 4 years old, as you know, and Juliette. I was bringing her at Bass Hall on the stage, and trying the pianos in the morning, and she was there.
So awesome.
There was no one there. That was perfect for me. But then trying to get, because we have some time off. At the beginning, it's a bit intense, but we have some time off. Then I'm trying to make sure that she remembers me and not call me Uncle Jacques at the end of the at the end of the competition. But I think and the team is the same. My team is fantastic for that. I think we're very dedicated to what we do, and we're very strong together. And this is what I told them from the start. Competition is really hard. It's a lot of time. We're going to get tired. Therefore, you're going to get exhausted in this, and you have people to rely on. If you have a problem, please share. And we're all that together. Because we're together, we're stronger. And because we're together, we can have those moments that can be a bit more balanced for everybody.
Love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life. We talk about that all the time. I mean, really, because at the end of the day, I think the only way you can get through some of those difficult and emotional times is if the why is there, and you're excited about what you're doing and you're making an impact, it kind of gets through the difficult things. So what's your why? Well, why do you continue to do this?
We're so privileged for the Cliburn to work with fantastic talents. And I always say to the team, they are practicing 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours per day. These are the best of the best in the business. They come here and we should be so good. And what we do at the Cliburn, I call this the winning conditions. We try to make everything know that they have nothing to worry than playing the piano well.
Yeah.
And the host families are there for that, and the staff is there for that. The volunteers are there for that. And we're trying to really, really make this a fantastic platform to express their talent and their vision through their music. And when we do that, it's so fantastic. The answer is right there for us, like the reward.
This is why we do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, I got to ask you something. What the heck is this? Okay, what is this? Because I think it says Nations Face Off Champions Canada. Right. So if I remember correctly, my birthday was a few weeks ago. Right.
Yeah.
And I get to the office and I have a wonderful little present on my desk.
People are nice with you.
People are very nice.
Yeah.
But then I open this up, and as you know, and as we know, big hockey fan, obviously being French Canadian, a huge hockey fan. And we may have been going back and forth on may have been between the U.S. and Canada and the last four nations. And so how nice it was. And I just wanted to formally thank you for the hat, which shows the Canadians won the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know I appreciate you thinking of me.
You know what happened?
No, tell
Connor
me
McDavid called me and he said, "Can I send something to Mr. Beavers?"
That
and I
so
said,
true.
"As long as you sign as McJesus,
Yes,
we're all good."
exactly.
And he loves you, and he's hoping to see you in the playoffs this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So hockey's a big part of your life, right? I want to make sure that we talk about it. You play hockey.
Yeah.
Right? So you're on
a ring twice a week when I can because I have concerts. But yeah.
So is that do all French Canadians know how to skate and
they have
hockey?
to? If not, we don't. We don't care
then
about
you're not official. Okay.
No, seriously,
it's mandatory.
It's football for you here. It's in your blood.
It's the same thing.
For us, it's hockey.
Okay, who's winning the Stanley Cup this year then?
The Stars.
That was the right answer. That was the right answer. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. That's good. Man, this has been a blast. I want to tell you how much I admire what you do. Obviously, you're an incredible friend, but more importantly, I wanted this opportunity to kind of showcase what you really have been able to accomplish with the Cliburn, because you've taken something that was already at the top and you've gone to a new level. And
we have plans
to go.
Mr. Board Member.
Well, one of those plans, which I'm excited about, is at the end of this year, we're actually hosting and we're sponsoring the Polar Express, which is a
new Cliburn family concert.
It's a Cliburn family concert where it's the Polar Express story. I saw it this last year, and I was so enthralled with it because you have somebody telling the Polar Express story. You have somebody there playing the music, and the whole experience
It's so
was
fun.
amazing for the kids. So Beavers Wealth Management is sponsoring that this year, which
Super.
will be amazing. But that's the kind of stuff where you have so many different hands and in different places that you
And
can
thank you for
affect them.
that. We
So
appreciate the support.
thank you for the time. This was a
Hey.
blast.
Cool.
Always appreciated.
Hey.
And go Stars.
Hey, take
Thanks.
care. Thank you, sir. It was fun.